Good morning, back at the same location opposite Rovinj here, with the church and the kind of town city that I was here last night. We've got this sunset colours here, which you can't see at all. You still can't see. Hang on. There you go. No, I'm not a fan of that stuff at all. I hate that orange glow you get around sunrise, sunset. I really don't like it. I normally prefer shooting away from the sunrise. We got a nice bit of cloud up this way. I'll give it that, but there you go, you can see it there. But over here, you've got these really nice pastel colours. It's kind of pink haze, purple haze. Above the town. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting into that. I've got the telephoto on again. I'm having to zoom in quite far. I'm about 130mm at the moment. I'm leaving a bit of space on the side of the town that goes towards the ocean, just so you can tell it's an island, to give it a bit of separation, a bit of interest. And I'm just doing basically simple shots. And I tried a polarizer on it earlier, and the polarizer absolutely wrecked it. It totally wiped out those clouds. So all I'm really going for is just a simple shot. Now I've got a soft grad on, which you can see, but I'm not actually using it to darken the sky. There's so much light in the sea as well from the glare. It doesn't really work darkening the sky here, so I'm using it all the way down just as a weekendy filter, just to get a bit of a longer exposure of around about 6 seconds that's given me. And I'm shooting about half a stop underexposed. I'm getting so much problems with glare the last few days shooting locations like this with water and bright skies. I'm really struggling to control it, so I'm bringing it down about a stop, or anywhere from half a stop to a stop and a half on the shots the last few days mainly, especially at Bled as well. I had this issue. So yeah, it's really starting to kick off now, so I'm going to probably put you away, get on with some shooting, and I'll be back in a bit later. Right, the light's still going on here actually. It's really nice. These boats here as well look quite cool. These two sailing boats, or yachts I suppose you call them. We've still not got no colour, red colour in the clouds here. I'm not sure if they're going to happen, to be honest, although there is a bit of colour coming to the clouds above this part of the town now. I'm not fussed though. I quite like it how it is. Like I said, I love this pink kind of glow, and the main thing is, to be honest, even without that glow, is the fact that the town is lit up now. So you've got some nice colours, and it's really bringing out the detail on the buildings, which yesterday, last night didn't. What I'm doing is actually, I've got the telly on still, and I've zoomed in almost fully now, or quite tight. I was fully zoomed in, but I've come back a bit, simply because I want to get the boat in as well. And what I'm doing with it, I'm doing some panoramic shots. I'm doing them landscape. I might try portrait any minute just before the light dies. But basically, one of the best things you can do with a telephoto, which sounds stupid, is panoramic shots, because you think if you're going in tight, you don't need to do panoramic shots. What you can do by doing panoramic stitches with a telephoto on is you can take something that's far away, make it look closer, but still fit it all in the frame. So that's what, to be honest, I use them a lot for, especially if you're in a mountain range. Zoom in really far, get the thing that you like the detail of, the interest, and try and create kind of a panoramic stitch from that, so you've got a big long sweeping image of the detail. That way you can cut out anything you don't want. Now the only issue with that is you do lose most of your foreground interest, but places like this is perfect because there isn't really any foreground. I could use these rocks. There's a lot of rocks around here which I could get some nice pictures of, and especially this way. There's a nice cloud up there at the moment, actually, it's gone all red. Especially this way, there are some nice leading kind of sweeping lines with the rocks on it, which I could shoot down into. but it's going to take too much interest away from the main focal point, which is obviously the town. So I'm not going to do that, and what I'm going to do while I'm talking to you, I'm just going to start doing the panoramic stitches on the portrait side. Right, so I've switched the camera around now. Pan you down a bit. Still got the filter on the soft grad, just simply for a bit of now that's actually looking really nice. I still like that composition or the focal length, should I say, I've got with that. It's not skewing when I turn it, so the tripod is dead level. I'm just checking the focus by zooming in fully and just adjusting slightly. It's always a bit difficult on a telephoto lens when you're doing that, because it shakes around when you're focusing that. And all I'm going to do is start from roughly where the huge boat was here. It's actually giving me some interest now. It's actually out the way of the church. It's giving me a nice point to start the stitch from. Just going to make sure it's still making the water a bit soft. So I'm getting a 1.6 second there. That should be enough to keep the boat stable. That's my main concern with the shutter speed now. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep on rotating the camera, take a picture. You've probably seen this 1,000 times before. The more stitches you can get in your shot, the more pictures you take to go into the stitch, the more accurate Photoshop is going to do it. Downside to that is the more memory it's going to take up on your camera and your computer, and if you're anything like me, you never have enough space on your computer, so you're forever moving stuff and deleting it to get Photoshop enough memory to stitch anything. Especially when I'm away traveling, if I try and stitch stuff, the laptop ends up getting full of backed up files, so it never really works. So I'm just about past the church now. I've got it on the left hand side of the frame, and I'm just continuing to work around. Probably a bit too much, that one. That'll be alright. You're generally looking for at least 25% of each shot in the next one, if that makes sense. Then Photoshop normally has a kind of good way of stitching it together. So I'm just coming around to where the boat's going to start any minute. I've just got the small one in the background next to it, which you can just see there. And I've just got it in. Now, that's a really nice picture there. Slightly too tight on the crop, but something like that, especially the one in the background, gives it a lot of interest. I'm shooting at f/16, so there should be enough depth in the shot for me to be able to get the boat at the front as well. So that's a stitch done. Other tips with stitches: always make sure you go a bit further than you want, because Photoshop will tend to skew the end of the picture. If you're shooting really wide on a panoramic, if you've got a really wide angle lens as well, it's harder for it to stitch together, because you end up taking a bigger kind of area for it to stitch in degree angle sweep. But with tellies, going from simply there, which is pretty much what I'm talking about, there to there, I mean, you're only talking about something like a 30-degree sweep or something. There shouldn't be any issue with it stitching that together. It should come out quite nicely. So just go back a few and review them. You can see the boat moving across, and then there's the town. Now what I tend to do is I'll tend to edit those in Photoshop quickly, in Camera Raw, because they'll be raw files. And then once I've done that, I won't do too much editing, but I'll save them as TIFFs. I'll then throw them into a panoramic stitch, save that as a TIFF. Or I might not save them, I'll save them out of Camera Raw as JPEG. So I stitch it into Photoshop as a panoramic shot, and then probably save it as a TIFF, although I don't think it makes much difference really. And then once the panoramic stitch is completed, I'll then load it back into Camera Raw to do the final editing on it. But make sure you get all your settings roughly right in the individual pictures, because that's when they're going to be raw files before you do any constructive editing on them. Yeah, so that's pretty much it from this location. I'm just gonna hang around, wait for the sun to come up a bit more. I think it's actually rising around about here, although I'm a bit confused as why it's so strong around here. Just try and get some of that first light, maybe touching the top of the church or something like that to add a bit of interest to it, and then I'll be off to the next location, which is probably going to be the waterfalls, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce because I'll get it wrong, but the famous waterfalls in Croatia where you've got like about 10 or something different elevation of lakes with loads of tiny ones and loads of trees. So I'll probably catch up with you there depending on how busy it is. Not sure if I'll vlog it or not. I have a feeling it's going to be swamped. And this morning I'm probably going to go to a place called Omjim or Omis, I can't remember, which is a village built right on the coast, kind of amongst like a rocky ravine type thing is the best way to describe it. And I think there's an estuary there as well, which should give us a cool sunrise or sunset shot. So I'll catch up with you a bit later at that location. Hope you've enjoyed the pictures from here, and I'll probably see you at the waterfall.
If I could hear my father's voice, he would tell me to move on. He would say I'll be just fine. Yeah, he would tell me we have time, time to laugh and time to heal. Our favorite song is on repeat, drinking wine until the dawn, knowing soon we'll be back home. Ooh, I'm thinking about you. Ooh, I'm wishing that you knew. That I'm thinking about you. I see that smile on your face. You told me about the hidden place, something in the atmosphere. You're always here, you always here. Time to laugh and time to heal. Favorite song is on repeat, drinking wine until the dawn, knowing soon we'll be back home. Ooh, I'm thinking about you. And I'm wishing that you knew.
Right, sorry for the shakes, and I look sweaty as hell. Come to the second bit, Plitvice Lakes. Here it is. Joking. Yeah, so it's quite nice actually. You've got to walk for about 20 minutes from the car park for this so-called easier trail. And you can then catch a boat across the water, which is really nice. Now the last boat, well, pretty much I got the last boat across. They shut at 5. So I've had to walk, not all the way around the lake, I mean that takes hours, but a good proportion longer than I was hoping. Probably about an hour and 10 or something like that. There's some really, really nice compositions to be had here. You've got just lovely still lakes like this, with kind of tree reflections and kind of hills and peaks and things. Not too peaky, but enough to make a bit of interest. You've got loads and loads of tiny waterfalls. It's really, really nice place, but it's somewhere that does get busy. And the problem is most of the waterfalls you shoot from walkways, and they are really, really, really bouncy. So you can't do any long exposures if there's anyone even within 100 meters or 50 meters of you. It makes them shake. so it's a little tricky. But still, you can get some nice shots here. I've not really done it justice, to be honest. I've been in a bit of a rush. I've got to find a campsite for tonight, actually, to sort some stuff out in the van, get some washing done before I pick up Alice tomorrow and kind of get on with the actual holiday. But yeah, definitely recommend coming here. A really, really cool place, although you do need a good half a day at least, probably a full day to explore it properly, and expect hordes of crowds. The good thing is, officially it shuts at 5, or I think it might be, last boat was at 5, I think they said officially it shuts at 8, but I would have thought most people start going home around about 5, so if you wait until then, you can get kind of out of the crowds and get it a lot quieter like it is now, and kind of have the place a bit more to yourself. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Like I said, really cool place. These shots I got aren't amazing, they're not really that great, they're more to try and show off the area to you. Yeah, so I'm probably not going to make it to that town I was talking about, Omis, earlier. No chance at all, but if I can get there for sunrise I will, and I might catch up with you then.
Time to laugh and time to heal.